Raid is a free-to-play action RPG for both PC and mobile. There are over 500 badass champions.
Me and my girlfriend were in a city in Texas right off the highway, and we stopped at a tiny little gas station to get some beer and chips and such. For some reason, when we pulled in, I felt the need to say, I actually think I need to come in with you this time. Which was really weird because I usually always stay in the car whenever we go places, or if I do get out, I don't ever feel the need to announce it. When we walked in, everything felt normal. We were kind of just laughing and joking around about the half-naked Modelo girl cutout had a super pixelated face. We then started looking at all of the beer and I was being really indecisive, but could tell that we were both getting really sketched out, so I just grabbed 2 coconut margarita type drinks without even thinking about it and rushed to the counter, thinking that we needed to get out of there really quickly. There was this growing feeling of being watched. It was like pure malice that I haven't felt before. I can't really describe it. There was an old Hispanic man leaning on the ice cream cooler right by the counter and pretty much watching every customer. Everything just felt slow. It's hard to explain. When I put my things on the counter, the man started smiling at us really wide and then started talking in a very strange manner. It was like he was trying to be charming or personable, but really just came off as really creepy. Outside the door, I could see a man in a red jacket also just staring through the doors, just watching and waiting. It was pretty obvious now. These men were waiting for us. It's really hard to explain the overwhelming feeling of dread that we had, and I didn't really talk about it until we were driving out of the parking lot. The man in the red jacket was still circling the building and watching us as the car drove off. The city we were in, it has a pretty bad reputation for having a lot of human trafficking victims coming in and out, and I honestly think that they were just waiting to find the perfect victim. I honestly think that if I hadn't gone in with my girlfriend when I did, she probably would have been taken, or maybe they would have taken me from the car. I've never had such an intense looming feeling of doom and paranoia in my life. It seems very mundane, but it was definitely a very close call. We kept discussing it the rest of the night. We're really lucky that we went in together and got out as quick as we could. I mean, who knows what could have So this was about 2 years ago on Halloween. My best friend and I were leaving a club in Dallas, and we stopped at a gas station to pick up some snacks and refreshments. The guy comes up to me and then tells me that I look pretty. At this point, I'm pretty drunk and I'm not really worried about a dang thing, so I just thank him, smile, and continue looking for munchies. He then starts to follow me through the gas station, but I kinda just shrug it off at the time. Me and my friend pay, and we're walking out when he comes up behind us and asks where we're going. At this point, I'm just thinking, screw off. We say that we're going home, and he seemed to take the hint and left us alone. My friend was planning on driving us home in my car since I was really unfit to drive. We're about 3 blocks from my car when we notice a car driving really slow right behind us. We glance back a few times, and that's when we realize it's the guy from the gas station following us. We decide that it's not a good idea to lead him back to my car, so we decide to turn around and walk a different way back towards the street where the clubs are. He makes an illegal U-turn and follows us. He then rolls down his window and then shouts at us, asking if we need a ride. I then politely say, "No thank you, we're good. I think we just made a wrong turn." Lo and behold, he continues to follow us. We speed our pace up a bit and he speeds up. He calls out to us again through the passenger window, asking again if we want a ride. I tell him to please stop following us or I'm gonna have to call the police. He then proceeds to call me a really nasty name before taking off. Yeah, so to the weird guy from the gas station that decided to follow us, hopefully we don't encounter you again. So one day about 2 years ago, I was at my house with my younger sister and our friend. We were about 20 to 21 years old at the time and all females. We were really hungry and decided to go out and get some sushi. On the way to the restaurant, I noticed that I was really low on gas, so I stopped to get some. I pulled up to the pump and parked the car. I went into the gas station to pay while my sister and our friend waited in the car. As I was walking across the parking lot into the store, I noticed a man that had started staring at me with a really creepy smirk on his face. We made eye contact and he yelled across the parking lot,
"Hey beautiful, why aren't you smiling?"
I didn't respond or even acknowledge him. However, a young woman happened to witness this and then said to him, "Don't tell her to smile. Leave her alone. She doesn't have to do anything for you." To this day, I still sometimes think about that woman. I then thanked her and continued to walk into the store. As I then stood patiently in line, the same man walked inside. He came right over to me pretty much instantly while I was in line and started to touch me. He started to rub my arms and lower back, and then I pulled away. I said loudly, "Get away from me, I don't even know you. Do not touch me or I will defend myself." Some of the other customers and the cashier were watching us. I caused a scene. He whispered in my ear that I need to shut up so that people don't think he's a creep. Suddenly the man ran out of the store and right to my car where my sister and friend were still inside of it. I ran after him. He opened the car door and started to say something to them when I yanked him back so hard from his shirt collar and then punched him in the face. He then proceeded to call me just about every other vulgar name in the book, but he did leave us alone, then got in his car and drove away. I'm really glad that's all that happened. I'm much more aware of my surroundings now. When I was around 17 to 18 years old, I was driving home from a friend's house after a movie marathon. It was around 1 a.m. when I left and a pretty decent drive. Not quite halfway, my gas light comes on. I had a few creepy catcall experiences at gas stations and I was a little paranoid stopping that late in the middle of nowhere as a 110-pound female. In the end, I think if I wasn't so cautious, I probably would have been kidnapped or worse. The first gas station that I came across was pretty well lit and in a pretty open space. I drove up to the pump and looked around my car mirrors before getting out. As I was starting to pump the gas, this normal looking guy comes out of the gas station shop and then starts smoking a cigarette. The pump kept clicking off and not working, so I started messing with it, trying to get it to pump. This guy then starts watching me and laughing. I assumed that he was just laughing to himself while watching a teenage girl trying to pump gas. After getting maybe about 1/4 of a gallon, I decided to give up and move to a different pump. After this point, if I wouldn't have absolutely done everything that I did, I probably would have been screwed. When I got back into my car, I locked my doors just to drive to the other pump. I checked all of my mirrors before getting out and shutting off my car again. And that's when I saw the guy walking up to my car. He was smiling, and he was then walking up to the driver's side window. Not wanting him next to me, I rolled down the passenger window. He kind of paused for a moment, then just smiled to himself and walked to the passenger window. He then stuck his head all the way inside my window to talk to me. The conversation went as followed.
Hey, I know this seems really weird, but I promise I'm not a creep or anything. My car broke down and I really need a ride home. It's just a 1/2 mile up the road.
Sorry, but I don't really know you like that.
Oh no, I totally get it. I thought it was pretty weird as I was walking up here, but it's only a 1/2 mile up the road. I'm totally stranded.
I really wish I could help you, but again, I really don't know you.
Yeah, I got you. If you had a truck or something, I'd offer to ride in the back.
Sorry, no, not happening. All of a sudden, he looks really pissed off. He yanked at my door, but I had already had it locked from before. Then he decided to reach for my inside door handle right through the window. My car was still running, and I slammed it into first gear and then pulled out as he opened the door. The car taking off slammed it shut, and I sped off. I then called the police after I got away. They looked at the gas station's cameras, and right after I left, he got into his red SUV and drove off. If I hadn't locked my doors the second time, I would have been screwed. If I let him come to the driver's side window, he would have grabbed me. If I had shut my car off, I wouldn't have been able to drive off in time. And if I didn't double check my mirrors, I would have been outside my car when he came up to me. I'm really fortunate for being so cautious. It honestly probably saved my life that day. One day after work around 4 or 5 p.m., me and a girl I worked with decided to go and see a movie. It was a rough shift, and her and I felt like a movie would be
going to see her again. It's like I'm in a movie.
The story happened about a decade ago when I was in my mid-20s. I lived alone in a quiet residential area just outside the city of where the club district was. Moving out of my parents' house and becoming independent forced me to live a more mature lifestyle, as adulthood settled in at a fairly young age. Considering this story occurred in the mid-2000s, finding a companion was a lot more difficult than today's modern day, as the lack of apps